So if you do see them waving, please give them a really big wave back as well. So they're going to give us a wave. Let's have a look. There we go. Thank you, Annie and Gina. Oh, yes. And a 3-meter dive into their water to start them off. Now, again, they're going to come round and say a bit of a close hello. The rest of our population are currently in the back enjoying some relaxation and some food. But on the far left side on the rocks there, you might be able to just see a couple of our recently born sea lion pups resting at the back there. Now they're about 2.5 to 3 months old now, so they will just remain there and enjoy themselves. But it's these two we're going to be saying hello to. So we've got Gina on the right, who's 16 years old, and Annie on the left, who's 12. And then we've got Gary, who is our sea lion trainer. And they're going to give you guys another big wave to say hello. So here we go, there he is, a nice little flipper wave, so please give them one back. Now these two are in fact sisters, and they do have a very special bond with one another, as you can see, but they do get embarrassed when there is a crowd watching, and if they do get embarrassed like this, we don't want them to be embarrassed, we want a really big round of applause, show them there is nothing to be embarrassed about at all. There we go, yeah. So they do get often embarrassed quite easy at that, but the main thing that causes their embarrassment is when they get seals. Yeah, they don't call seals, and that's because they're not seals, they are Californian sea lions, and there are some differences between the two. Now the first little difference, Gary is pointing out to you there, which is in fact Anya's ear. Now she's got a little flap of skin or an earlobe on her head, whereas a seal just has a small hole that is surrounded by fur. Now the next difference is a little bit more noticeable, and that is the size of their flippers. Now a seal's flipper is very small, about the size of Gary's hand, with a couple of claws on the end of it. And so if you compare that hand to Annie's flipper, you can see a big difference in size between a seal and a sea lion's flipper. And this really helps them with our third and final difference, which is how they actually move around on them. Now Gina here is showing you how she likes to move, and that is all 4 of her flippers support her belly off the ground so she can move quite quickly. Now she can walk, she can run, she can stand up, she can jump up, and she could even climb up a set of stairs if she wanted to. She's that agile and that graceful using those 4 flippers. Now Gina here is also going to show us just how a silly seal gets across the beach, which is like this. Yeah, unfortunately seals can't support their belly off the ground, so they have to belly flop all across the beach as the back 2 flippers do all the work, because those tiny flippers at the front don't actually do much for their movement on land. So give Gina a fantastic round of applause for that amazing impression of a seal. Very good, yeah. So now we've talked all about the differences between the two. Hopefully no one's going to forget in the future. But now we need to discuss the training we do with them, and it's training method known as positive reinforcement. Now to help him, Gary's got a target stick in his hand, and he's got a whistle and some fish. And he'll hold it out to Gina, and she'll follow with her nose, and then he'll blow the whistle telling her she's done the correct thing, and then she gets a fishy reward. And so it is entirely her choice what she wishes to do with this. Now she can choose to ignore Gary, but she knows that if she does this display, she actually gets some lovely fish, and so she does enjoy doing it to get those nice little fishy treats. But we can use this for many reasons. So as you can see, Gary's easily able to lead her from place to place, from the podiums to the rocks there. And we can even take her down into the water, or we can even do things like medical checks by checking her mouth and her teeth. But the main reason is for those medical checks. And the reason... Oh, Gary, I think Anya's being distracted again and getting more fish. Here we go. Alright, so once Anya's taken her place again and isn't trying to steal Gina's fish there, we're going to then see what Gina's going to do, and she's going to just show you all about our medical checks. Now, as you can see, she's laid down, and this is giving Gary the perfect opportunity to check her skin for any lumps, bumps, cuts or grazes. And this is just a vital way of doing our daily medical checks without causing Gina any stress or discomfort. And as we can do, we can even get to roll onto her back to check her stomach for any lumps, bumps or cuts to the same. And we can even perform ultrasounds on our adult females to check if they're pregnant as well. And so it's a really beneficial way of doing these medical checks in a stress-free environment. And how's she doing today? Nice and healthy, very good, Gina, well done. So yeah, so that is all about why we use this training method, is for those medical checks. But now we're going to show you all about how we stimulate their natural behaviours. And Gary's got a couple of props that he's going to be using to do this. Now the props that he's got are in fact these hoops, and what we're going to be doing is he's going to be chucking them to Gina, and we're just going to see how well Gina does at catching them as they come towards her, and then we're going to explain to you how she does this. And it's all to do with her fantastic binocular vision. Now that eyesight can actually track the speed of those hoops and the distance of them, helping her position her neck just in time to catch them all like that. Give her a huge round of applause. Well done, Gina. Very good, yeah. So, by doing that, this is actually showing you just how they catch their fish out in the wild, because it's that binocular vision that helps them track the speed of the fish that they're chasing, as well as the movement of them, helping them judge how fast they need to go to be able to catch them. Now they can swim up to speeds of 15 miles per hour, which really helps them catch the fish they hunt. But again, it is all that vision that helps them track them, and we're showing that again in the water here, by seeing just how well Gina does at tracking the hoops as they come towards her, swimming to the correct location in time to be able to catch him. And again, it is all down to that eyesight. So give her a huge round of applause. Well done, Gina. Very good indeed. Very good. Yeah, so that is all about how they catch their fish. But now we need to learn all about how they find their fish. And then the reason they can actually find their fish and locate them in the water is all down to those fantastic whiskers you can see at the end of Gina's nose there. And the prop we're using is in fact a basketball. Now, as you can see, Gina is pointing her whiskers up to that ball, which helps her detect any loss of balance and change in position, helping her readjust it. And so this may look easy, but in fact it takes many years to learn, and some sea lions never manage to learn it at all. But Gina's been doing it for many years, and so she is quite skilled when it comes to it. But the reason we get to do this is because it's those whiskers that are essential to a wild sea lion that helps them actually locate and find their food out in the wild. So they pick up little vibrations that fish give off, and it's very beneficial, especially if they've entered dark, murky water, or if a sea lion has started to lose its vision in older age. So as you can see, we've thrown the ball in, and she's quickly located it from the vibrations it's given into the water. And she's able to continue to balance it as she brings it through the water, onto the beach, back towards Gary. So give her a huge round of applause for that amazing display of those fantastic whiskers. Yep, so again, that is all about how they locate their food. And so to stay fed out in the wild, it's all dependent on that binocular vision and those amazing whiskers, so well done there. So we talked all about how they stay fed, but now we're actually going to have to see what happens when I mention the word killer whales. Ooh, Gina doesn't like killer whales, unfortunately, no. Killer whales find sea lions quite tasty, and they would try to make a snack out of them. And so they need to avoid killer whales as much as possible. But there's also another marine predator they need to avoid. And Gina here does a very good impression of it. Now when you see this impression, I'm going to count down from 3, and I want you to shout it out nice and loud what you think it might be. 1, 2, 3! I heard one gentleman over here, so the rest of you have to be a lot louder. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3! Did you hear them, Gary? No, super loud for Gary. If he can't hear you, Gina certainly can't hear you. So super loud for this final try. 1, 2, 3! There we go, yep. So the tiger shark, a bull shark, and even the great white shark would try to make a snack out of a sea lion. But Gina, what do you do if there's a shark in there? That's it, out of the water, as quick as you can, onto the beach, and find a nice place to hide away from those sharks. Well done, yep. So Gina knows that dry land is the safest chance she's got against the shark, and so the beach is the place to go. So beaches and dry land is the safest place because sharks can't follow them onto it. But unfortunately, many sea lions, they meet sharks out in the open water when they cannot get to dry land. And so what they do to avoid them is a very special technique, which is in fact a backflip. Now backflips that they do perform out in the water will actually confuse the sharks by generating a lot of bubbles and a lot of confusion, helping them make their escape. But dry land is always the safest bet for Gina, well done. But unfortunately, there's another threat in the oceans they cannot get away from, and that is plastic pollution. Now Gary's got a plastic bottle in his hand, which he should recycle, shouldn't he? But I don't think he's going to. In fact, he's going to do exactly what he shouldn't, which is to throw it in the water. Ugh. But luckily, Gina knows where it needs to go, which is out of her water and into the bin. Well done, Gina, yeah. So moral example from her there. So place all rubbish in the bin to make sure it doesn't end up into any habitats around the world, and recycle and reuse to the best of your ability to keep our oceans nice and clean. Now, these guys have done a pretty good job this morning. In fact, the only way they managed to do this is by working with each other on a daily basis, and they do build up a very special bond. And as you can see, Gina likes to give them a nice big hug out of appreciation there. But because you guys have been such a fantastic audience as well, if you stick your hands up in the air, give them a nice big wave goodbye. Gina's going to give you a very special sea lion tail flip away goodbye. Give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Gary, Julia and Annie, our sea lions, who all done a fantastic job this morning here at Active Oceans. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you do have...
Can you hear?
Can you?
Yeah.
Good.
Waving at yours.
One penguin's just standing.
Gotta go find someone else now. Yeah.
How are you gonna I might get at him.
They're gonna get you fish at the bottom.
But I want my coat when they're about to get me wet. Yeah, they're not eating them.
Finishing their molting period and are starting to develop their adult coat colours, and so you might see some
just throw it in the water that
coming out of their baby feathers. But we do have in fact 15 adults of these. Now this particular species is known as the Magellanic penguin, and they are actually one of 18 total species of penguin that can be found around.
Look at the seagulls,
Now the
they're
way you
eating
tell the
for food.
species apart is actually due to the sort of patterns they have on their feathers. Now penguins themselves actually have the most amount of feathers per sort of and so they are incredibly tiny feathers. And all penguins have this black and white combination to the colour of them. And this is known as counter shading. Now counter shading is a very good sort of example of marine camouflage, because it means that the black feathers on their back help camouflage them at the surface of the water from any predators above them, whereas the white feathers help protect them from any predators below. And so all penguins do have that. But what makes each species unique is their specialised patterns with those colours. And so with the Magellanic penguin in front of you, the patterns that make them Magellanic is in fact a
seagull that can
can
swim.
And then that big black upside down horseshoe shape on their chest. And so that's what signifies these guys as Magellanic. When it comes to individual penguins though, they can develop little unique splodges on their stomachs, which are just little black dots. And each one will have a unique pattern in those that is kind of similar to that of a fingertip. And so that's a good way to tell what even this can be difficult. So the way to tell a penguin apart, gender-wise, is the fact that we use a banded system. And so in theory, our male penguins should have a band on their right flipper, whereas our females may have a band on their left flipper. Well, this can be quite difficult to get it onto the correct flipper, because in order to actually ID the gender of a penguin, feather needs to be sent away for DNA analysis, which can take a couple of weeks. And so often when we do band them, we then get the results back and think, oh, we've got to change the bands over, which can be a little bit difficult when it comes to a flappy flipper penguin. Now, one individual that is quite easy to spot with his band is Ferdinand, who is just at the front here, and you might be able to notice that his band is in fact some colourful beads. The reason he has colourful beads for his band, unlike the rest of them, is because he joined us from a zoo out in Spain, and they use colourful bands for theirs. And so he gets to keep his nice little jazzy ID band there, whereas the rest of them have these nice little black ones that are covered in numbers. Now, Magellanic penguins, many people do believe that all penguins come from really cold parts of the planet. But in fact, it's not always the case. In fact, many penguin species can be found in warmer climates, such as Australia, New Zealand, and even South Africa. But Magellanics come from the coastal waters of South America. And it's around the coastline of South America that they tend to be found. But they also inhabit islands such as South Georgia, as well as the Falklands as well, and so they can be found on those areas. And it's even been known that they will travel as far north as countries as Brazil in pursuit of the food that they eat. Now, the food that they do eat in the wild consists of various different fish species, including things like squid as well. But their main preferred choice of fish is in fact anchovies. And it's anchovies that they follow as far north as Brazil in pursuit of them, because the reason they like them so much is because they are incredibly packed with nutrients and essential oils, which is very important to a penguin in them being able to produce their waterproof coat. Now, in order to go in the water, as you can see now, they actually produce the waterproof coat themselves. And the way they do that is through a special gland on their back, which produces an oil that they smear all over their feathers with their beaks in their behaviour known as preening. And it protects them from the coldness of the water and makes sure that their feathers can dry out easily as well. And so without a nutritious diet, they would struggle to produce that oil. Now here at the zoo, we do get various different fish types in to feed to our penguins. And we always pick the fish that is the most sustainable out in the wild. And so we did used to feed them scraps, but that was found to be unsustainable. And so we changed to Baltic herring, which Helen has just fed them not too long ago. Now occasionally with the fish that we do get, because it's frozen, its nutritional value when it's defrosted. And so we do also add nutrient tablets to these fish to give them a nice little boost as well. But like many children, whenever they see their nutrient tablets, they do not want to take them, so we do have to hide them and disguise them within the fish that we feed them. Now, when it comes to them hunting out in the wild for their fish though, as you might notice in the water, they're actually quite speedy. And in fact, they can swim to speeds of about 15 miles per hour, and they can even dive up to depths of about 19 meters down, all while holding their breath for 2 to 3 minutes, which does make them incredibly agile hunters. And though they are flightless birds, they've always been described as being able to fly through the water. Now when it comes to land, as you can see by Ferdinand in front of me here, it is a little bit of a different story. They are much slower on land and they just tend to waddle about, and they don't travel very fast. And so penguins will often be found as close to the coastlines as possible, so they have quick access to the water for their food, as well as in case they need to escape any predators. Now when it comes to their reproduction, so they do live in very large groups that can consist of thousands of penguins depending on the species. And so it is believed that most penguin species are monogamous. And it is believed that Magellanic penguins are monogamous, but we have found in recent years that we have had disputes amongst our penguins, and we have had a couple of nest hopping situations between them. But in theory they are supposed to be monogamous, meaning they would pair for life. Now when a pair does couple up, they will build a nest on the beach, or they will lay a couple of eggs in one of these nest boxes at the back here. And it always tends to be a couple of eggs in total, a second one usually being an insurance policy in case something happens to the first one. Now a Magellanic penguin's egg is just a little bit bigger than that of a chicken's, and it is a nice pale blue colour. And it takes about 40 days in total before they hatch. Now each parent will actually take a 20-day shift incubating that egg, while the other parent swims out to sea and catches as many fish as possible to store in their bellies ready to feed the chick once it's hatched. After that first 20 days, they then switch roles and repeat those jobs again. When the chick does get sort of hatched out of its shell, it is actually quite small, quite fluffy, and covered in little grey feathers. And so they do quickly reach the size of the adults in no time at all. And so the chick that we do have that was born a couple of months ago is about the same size as its parents now. It's in one of these nest boxes at the back here. And the way they actually feed them is by all that fish that they have stored up in their bellies gets liquidated into a sort of vomity fish smoothie, which then regurgitate to their chick to keep them nice and fed and nice and healthy. Now unfortunately for penguin species out in the wild, many of them are becoming quite endangered. In fact, Magellanic penguins are now classed as endangered out in the wild, and it's for 3 very different reasons. Now the first main different reason behind it is actually due to climate change. Now as climate change is affecting our weather patterns, our summer months are getting incredibly hot and a little bit too hot for many animals to cope with. And in fact many penguin chicks that are covered in those grey fluffy feathers, they can't actually regulate their temperature and cool down. And so unfortunately many of them are starting to die from heat exhaustion. Now the adults that can go into the water, they're actually having to go into the water more often now, and which means they have to produce a lot more of that waterproof oil, which is incredibly energy costly. And this leads us to our second biggest problem for penguins, which is lack of food. Now as human beings, our population has reached a point now where our planet is actually starting to struggle with how much resources we're taking from it. And one of the main resources we do take from our oceans is fish. Now, overfishing is a very big problem for the marine animals that live there, because we're actually not leaving enough fish left behind for them. And so many penguins are unfortunately starving to death.